Thank you, everyone, for joining us here today. Distinguished guests, on behalf of the United Nations Institute for Training and Research, it is my pleasure to welcome you here today for our second joint webinar with Smarter Chains on harmonizing global skills for Industry 4.0 as part of our webinar series on Industry 4.0 and sustainable development. I want to thank all the participants that are here today, along with Mr. Gustavo Gori, Silas Karamaloglis, for bringing us together for this momentous occasion from Smarter Chains, and additionally, Filippo Catalano for joining us as our guest. Last month, we had the great pleasure of unveiling our joint training program entitled Industry 4.0 Dimensions Training. This unveils the future, the nexus between Industry 4.0 and the UN Sustainable Development Goals. In an age where technology is reshaping industries, the necessity for education has never been more pronounced. Industry 4.0 is not merely a technological revolution. It is a societal transformation that holds the power to reshape our future profoundly. Our training program that I just mentioned is now live, and I welcome you to join it. Later on today, I will put it in the chat for each of you that I can invite you towards. So for a little bit of a background for those unfamiliar with what is Industry 4.0, well, it's often termed the fourth industrial revolution and represents the convergence of cutting-edge digital technology such as IoT, AI, robotics with traditional manufacturing and industrial practices. Industries face relentless demands to enhance their product quality, streamline operations, maintain competitiveness, prioritize safety, security, and sustainability, all while ensuring profitability. To meet these challenges and to drive innovation, a range of technologies emerge throughout the fourth transitional revolution as being implemented, and often supplementing traditional legacy systems. Smagulation is more than just a shift. It is a global paradigm reset. At its core, Industry 4.0 births smart factories, optimizing an era where systems seamlessly interconnect, amplifying efficiency, productivity, adaptability in real time. Now, this has various different connections to the SDGs itself, such as Industry SDG 4.4, the target, which outlines by 2030 sustainability increase the number of youth and adults to have relevant skills, including technological and vocational skills for employment, decent jobs, and entrepreneurship. Also, the indicator 4.41 outlines proportion of youth and adults with information and communication technology skills by type. At the heart of this platform that we are producing together between Unitar and Smarter Chains, the foundation of knowledge with education platforms and training is part of our joint mandates as we unveil this past month. In addition to SDG 4, it also meets other targets that are representative of the SDGs. This includes 8.2, which outlines achieving higher standards of economic productivity through diversification, technological upgrading, and innovation, including a focus on high value added in labor-intensive sectors. Also, the target 9.5 aims to enhance scientific research, upgrade the technological capabilities of industrial sectors in all countries, particularly the developing countries by 2030, to encourage innovation and substantially increase the number of research and development with workers for 1 million people in both public and private research. So with that, I want to say it's a pleasure to have this partnership with Smarter Chains as we aim to enhance our global partnerships for sustainable development through a multi-stakeholder approach that mobilizes the knowledge, expertise, and technology of our entities and overall supports the SDGs through developing countries. I thank all of you for being here. As we proceed, I will be your moderator today. My name is Stephen Joyce. I'm project coordinator here at Unitar. And with this, I would like to introduce the next panelist today, Vasilis Karameloglis. So, if I may proceed, Vasilis is a serial entrepreneur passionately dedicated to supply chain technology, knowledge democratization through building top software products. Vasilis is an Industry 4.0 global expert and pioneer in scaling our 4.0 adoption and strategy definition. More than 350 path strategies and experience across more than 30% of Fortune 500 companies. Vasilis has trained more than 100 companies and 3,000 people in Industry 4.0 transformation through top supply chain universities and own development platform trainings. Vasilis is highly experienced in creating win-to-win GTM strategies with Industry 4.0 ecosystem partners, from solution providers, NGOs like ourselves at Unitar, to governments, top business schools, top Fortune 500 companies, industrial associations, and small and medium manufacturers. With that, I invite to the floor Mr. Vasilis. I welcome you to share your presentation.
Thank you, Stefan. Thanks a lot for the introduction. Before I start, does everybody see my screen? Yeah, okay, fantastic. So, hello everyone. I'm very happy to join again. It's on the second webinar together with Unitar on a very important subject, as we said, of really advancing Industry 4 across the global manufacturing community. From the inception of Smarter Change back in 2016, our vision was very clear. It was all things advancing Industry 4 across the manufacturing sectors, but doing so with pioneering a global, singular, and unified learning approach. Industry 4 is all about learning at the end of the day. So the fusion of multiple different technologies, digital, physical, and eventually, of course, we're going to move to biological as well, will completely reshape our economies, the way we work, and our societies, of course. Now, at the heart of this transformation, there is a critical imperative which is lying, and this is harmonizing the skill set that is required on a global scale. Now, this is an imperative that goes beyond the confines of a single organization, of an individual as well, or a single nation. It really resonates with the essence of the interconnected digital world that we are living in. Now, in this era of continuous change and innovation, harmonizing the skills is not only what we want to do, it is a key enabler to drive what we all want eventually for the planet, sustainability, for our economies with competitiveness, and of course, progressing the manufacturing sector itself, as it's accounting 16% of global GDP. It's a massive sector, employing almost 500 million people in it. Now, today, we will have a mix of different approaches on this webinar. So we will talk a bit about the key challenges of harmonization and the opportunities if we do, how we, together with Unitar, we can help doing the first step towards this vision. And then we will spend most of our time with our honored guests, with Filippo and with Gustavo, which they're both masters of change, both in manufacturing and in IT, in order to really discuss their perspective on some of the challenges of really driving systemic change through education. Now, what are the core challenges of harmonizing skills? First of all, is the rapid technological advancement. Now, the pace of change we experience now, it's going to be the slowest it will ever going to be. And already, we are all lagging behind. Now, this would mean that we are moving into an era of accelerated skill obsolescence. So the skills we acquire today will be relatively obsolete in quite a short period of time. So the challenge we all have is how do we really make sure that we can constantly update and adapt our skill sets to keep pace with the technologies. Now, this speed also provides a major digital divide between the people that have equal access to technologies and the resources to learn, and the ones that they don't. So there's going to be a world of two directions because of that. Now, second is the diversity of educational systems. We all know different countries, even within a country, many different educational systems, very different varying quality of educations, which creates a massive disparity on the preparedness of individuals to adapt to Industry 4 roles as the industry demands them. Now, secondly, a lack of alignment with industry and academia, something that we know the best universities always are proud of themselves to be in contact with the industry, but that's not enough, clearly. We need to make sure that we are completely connected, education, skill building, with what is really happening on the job market in order to avoid the skill shortages that, of course, will inhibit future progression. Number three, socioeconomic disparities. Bottom line is how we can access education. Some people can, some are more disadvantaged than others. So how can we bring equal opportunities into accessing this at the global scaled level? Because this is going to help us avoid what, we see the fear around job displacement or technological unemployment, as we call it, especially on the lower skilled, repetitive type of low work roles. If we don't get this right, we will go into an era of inequality and, of course, the social unrest that is going to bring. Now, number four, and perhaps one of the most critical ones, is the resistance to change, which is embedded into our human nature. So this is many individuals, many organizations resist change, especially when it comes to adopting and integrating new stuff, new technologies, new processes. And this is primarily because of the fear of job loss. So how can we eliminate the fears, which acts as a barrier for individuals to proactively acquire new skills that can help them and can help the society and the industries at large? Last but not least is the clear lack of standardization that we have. Without standard frameworks and certifications for skills, it's going to be very challenging for people. Either they acquire the skills in a company, in other institutions, to really demonstrate global proficiency around their skill adoption that can then work across borders, across industries, across companies. But also the lack of standardization is inhibiting quality control, which is a core component to ensure that I know what I hire for and I know what could be the outcome of this as an employer, etc., etc. Now, solving this will help us create enormous opportunities from an economic prosperity point of view by enhancing manufacturing capabilities, drive productivity, and at the end, really drive innovation, create an adaptable workforce that can really follow the way the jobs are changing in the marketplace, a workforce that is well-versed on all things Industry 4 and the technologies will there continue to proliferate around the subject, eliminate social inequality by making sure that we provide access and inclusive education to people to really enhance their skill set, enable sustainability, a lot of talk, but really we need to become smart to become sustainable, as at the end of the day, sustainability is all about resource allocation, and the Industry 4 technologies, they really help enhancing this, but to do so and to develop it in a more environmental conscious and responsible way, we need to ensure that we provide access to people on these new jobs and skills they need to have. Last but not least, and something which for us in Smarter Change, all the years we've been working and all the aim of the collaboration with UNITAR is to really bring forward the dream of a united manufacturing nations type of platform where the problems and challenges for manufacturers and for employees can be really tackled together, as at the end of the day, regardless of the size, regardless of the industry, regardless of the region, there is commonalities, more commonalities than differences. And this should provide a platform where all stakeholders, governments, education institutions, industries, international organizations like UNITAR, can have a common framework around Industry 4 education that can enhance skill development without leaving anyone behind. This is the core reason why we joined forces with UNITAR in order to bring this vision of a united manufacturing nations platform forward under a unified learning framework, creating a new language. We launched the platform on the 29th, and we still have hundreds of people joining, and we're going to have a small demo on it for you as well later on. Now, in the platform, we have introduced a framework and the learning curriculum, which we call the 10 Industry 4 dimensions. This focuses traditionally, I would say, on the 3 core elements of what we supply chain guys always talk: people, processes, and technology. So the 10 Industry 4 dimension serves as a compass, if you like, representing all the different operational areas in the plant, as well as all the different leadership personas in the plant that will bring the adoption and implementation of the technologies forward. Industry 4 is not a it's not a silo game. It's a multi-integrational paradigm which aims to break the silos, and we know how big of a challenge this might be, but it's crucial to ensure that we are educating all the different stakeholders within the plant, not only of the technologies that is relevant for them, but also the technologies that is relevant for everybody else, as there we have defining the touch points which can drive innovation and really drive new and sustainable solutions that can drive productivity, cost benefits, and all the good things we like in a manufacturing setting. This framework has been developed based on our more than 30 years experience on traditional operational excellence pillar thinking, because at the end, OPEX is the foundation. Operational excellence is the foundation. And Industry 4 technologies is helping to improve the way we are performing our work processes on the different departments within the manufacturing facility. Now, the rapid technological advancement we are seeing will only go faster. So we are going to be experiencing the phenomenon of time-space compression, which only through standardized learning frameworks, you can really match up the speed of change with how you can really take advantage of the change internally. Now, enabling harmonization has those 10 benefits that you see here, starting with having a common language, which, as we all know, reduces misunderstandings and, of course, can drive collaboration across multiple different stakeholders. Number 2, standardized curriculums. A common framework can allow for the development of standardized type of curriculums and training programs, so we can drive consistency to our workforce. Then is the transferability of skills. Skills I acquire in one country, I can easily transfer it in another one and can be globally recognized for the quality adherence, etc., etc. The mobility of the skills can help what we said, which is the core benefit, which is the workforce adaptability. Then a streamlined way to evaluate and certify it, which is where standardized frameworks makes it simple to evaluate and certify people. Number 5, be able to really efficiently allocate resources, especially at government and educational institutions level, so we can pinpoint and focus on the problems that they really matter for the industry, that can drive employability as well as advancing the industry forward, rather than being nice to have or not really being employable, or even being too far-fetched as well from a technological point of view, which we see in many cases today. Number 6, drive competitiveness, innovation and research and collaboration, increased mobility of labor. So with a common framework, workers can easily migrate to where high demand for their particular skills are, and address the shortages we see in many industries in many countries. You know, for many in big countries like the US, there is a huge skills gap, something that China has solved. In Germany, in Europe is very good at that, but still there is so much opportunity to really harmonize around. Last but not least, having a unified framework, we can easily align to international standards, this being protocols up to very different, more sophisticated type of collaborations that we need to do from data privacy, cybersecurity, sustainability, etc. But again, having one common language that can really drive scalability and harmonization. The launching of the platform, in order to materialize this, we have integrated a core element which we have also provided for free for all the users. And this is an Industry 4 skills assessment. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to jump in the tool just to see how we bring to life the unified framework with really evaluating people on where their levels of expertise are and how they can best use platforms like ours to really upskill themselves based on where their gaps is and streamline their skills portfolio. Please let me know if you see my screen. Okay. So joining inside the Smarter Change tool, the first thing we are providing to the user is a free Industry 4 assessment across the 10 Industry 4 dimensions. So you, as a user, can easily come in and select which of the 10 Industry 4 dimensions you would like to start assessing and see where your understanding of Industry 4 and the specific dimension is versus others. For example, can come to digital organization, having a very quick assessment of what it is, how you can use it, etc., ITOT, all the good stuff we have on Industry 4. And once you complete the assessment, directly you can submit and you can get a score. As you see, I scored very bad on this. But what is important here is that you can directly then benchmark your skills performance versus what is considered to be the minimum, but also versus what is the average of the people. As you see from the thousands of users we have, the pre-training score is pretty low overall. Lots of stuff to be learned on digital organization. What you can do after, you can see, you can score, you can benchmark where you are, and then you can come in and you can start learning more about what is the digital organization. You come in the tool, you can hear in real time a bit of the description. Hello. You can learn more, and upon what we cover from a content point of view, and then upon your discretion, you decide you can upgrade to all the content we have in the tool, as well as free membership subscription for 1 year, valid until December. You come and you can be upgrading automatically. Now, why is the skills assessment so important? First of all, understanding where you are. We think that we know we are all swimming in information on a daily basis. But now we are doing a step back to really put the fundamentals in. Identify where the gaps are and really thoroughly plan for a career advancement. By knowing where you are, all the rest of the things like education and training, what specific curriculum you need to learn, what is your personalized learning path going to be. If you are a company, your workforce development, all things from talent management, training and upskilling, succession planning, recruitment, hiring, performance evaluation, how you allocate projects to people is becoming more and more important, as well as strategic planning, planning your needs, from having a roadmap of technologies and then understanding exactly how do you score on those technologies, what skills you need, what do you need to hire, what do you need to upskill, what do you need to internally develop, what do you need to develop together with others. And last but not least, of course, comply with the quality assurance as well. So first step is always building the skill set and mapping exactly where you are, where you want to go, and creating a roadmap moving forward. Now, what I will do, I will move on to discuss some of those things and bring a practical view from practitioners in the industry, having the honor of discussing with Filippo and with Gustavo. Stefan, you want to say a few words on Filippo before we get started?
Absolutely. Thank you for providing a very comprehensive roadmap on what should be an international common language between standardizations in Industry 4.0. As we begin the round table discussion, I'd like to be able to have the pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Filippo Catalano. Filippo joined Reckitt as Chief Information and Digitization Officer in April 2021. Filippo is responsible for building and maintaining Reckitt's competitive leading-edge IT, data, and digital capabilities. Filippo brings to Reckitt extensive leadership experience in defining and shaping IT digital portfolios and technology-enabled new business models across leading consumer goods organization. In his previous role, Filippo was the SVP, Global Chief Information Officer at Nestlé, where he led the transformation of technology platforms, data, analytics, e-business processes, and tech skills. Prior to his position there, he worked as Procter at Gamble across the geographies, categories, and IT disciplines, leading the digital transformation in key brands and corporate initiatives. Filippo is currently serving as the non-executive director at Forma Connect, a leading tech company providing blockchain-based traceability for farm-to-fork supply chains. I now welcome, with that introduction, to the floor Filippo. But before I do, actually, I would like to just say for all the participants that are there, if you have any questions that raise between any of the panelists, the past presentation that Vasilis just provided, please put them in the chat, and we will have a Q&A portion following this roundtable discussion. So please, Filippo, the panel and floor is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Stephen, for the introduction.
So, Filippo, first of all, it's a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much for the time.
My pleasure.
Let me start with asking you. You have led IT transformation at the highest level, both in Nestlé and Reckitt. We are talking about two massive, very complex organizations, totaling more than 600 plants. So in this environment of this rapid technological change, particularly in Industry 4, how does this change is impacting your organization's strategy, IT strategy, and of course the need for a continuous acquisition of new skill among your team?
Look, I think first of all, I think everybody that has been in any industry over the past 3 years have experienced an incredible acceleration of change through the COVID and the post-COVID world. I think the supply chain world, the manufacturing world, that has been relatively static for a long time. Everybody was optimizing footprints for a long time. It's been shaken to the roots because of the disruptions brought by COVID in logistic flows and transportation and availability of raw materials. And this is, if anything, just increase the focus of any organization that has something to do with manufacturing and supply for everything that is related to technology, data, and digital capabilities. I'll mention maybe briefly a couple of things. I think, first of all, the new supply chains and the new manufacturing landscapes, they need to be much more agile and much more resilient to change. And we see it every day with the geopolitical changes around the world. This is an important characteristic of winning supply chains. The other thing you mentioned in the introduction is also sustainability. You cannot deliver your sustainability goals as a company if you don't look at data, technology, and AI in your supply chain. And the other thing that is happening is the additional focus on cyber and cyber resilience. We see every week news out there of technology-related disruptions, either intentional, like an attack, or self-inflicted in major organizations as well. And all of those components coming together, if anything, they make the importance of technology data paramount than before. And of course, this drives even additional pressure from the skill sets of our own organization, our own employees that need to step up to those challenges. And without getting into the details yet, I think the winning companies have put together programs for upskilling and reskilling of their people, regardless of where they are located, and have put together strategies and tactics for being able to do so as fast as possible and as granular as possible. This is something that needs to happen to the periphery of the organization, everywhere, in every factory, in every warehouse. So it's surely an incredibly tall order challenge for all of us.
So how has this speed changed the approach of, the typical IT upskilling and reskilling corporate product? Because you mentioned a lot of changes that is impacting supply chains and the need to bring new skills across manufacturing IT, supply chain IT.
Yeah, I think that it's affected in the speed in a few ways. I think the first is that some of the content generally changes and improves at a very fast pace. You mentioned in your introduction, and I really subscribe to that what we are experiencing today as a rate of change is the slowest we will ever experience. So this is valid as well for anything that is about training and skill building. So take some of the latest topics like generative AI. Last 12 months, we had to build completely from scratch a lot of that content, and luckily there is good content out there that can be repurposed for the enterprise. But I think the other big thing on speed is that it's a lot about empowering people to do learning and training at their own pace. You cannot just do a top-down program and say, this is exactly the schedule that you are going to follow. People have their jobs as well to follow. So finding solutions like the one we just showcased on the Smarter Chain platform to help people to self-pace through the learning is also very important, because it's fast-paced, but also everybody can set their own timing and milestones to go through those.
Thank you, Filippo. Thank you so much. Gustavo, I would like to ask you a question now. Maybe Stefan, say a few words on Gustavo to the audience.
Yes, it would be a pleasure, Vasilis. I'd also like to welcome today Mr. Gustavo Gori to the floor. Mr. Gustavo is the chairman and co-founder of Smarter Chains and has an extensive career in supply chain, manufacturing, and leadership across the world. He's played top executive roles in companies of strong standing in operations like Kimberly-Clark and Procter & Gamble & Co. Gustavo is the former chief supply chain officer at Kimberly-Clark, and before that, vice president of product supply, global manufacturer at Procter & Gamble. He served the industry for more than 35 years with key senior leadership roles around the globe, leading the creation of the centralized planning capabilities, empowering definitions, and the implementation of the manufacturing work system for P&G are just some of the highlights of his fruitful career. In 2018, he co-founded Smarter Chains, a Swiss technology startup, and helping manufacturers and supply chain professionals to define and execute their digital strategy towards sustainable factory and supply chain for the future, and to tackle the challenges of the fourth industrial revolution. I now welcome and have the pleasure to introduce to the floor Mr. Gustavo Gori. It's a pleasure to have you again today.
Thank you, Stephen, and everybody. Thank you for being here today. For me, I'm very excited to be in this roundtable sharing with Filippo and all of you our experience in this matter.
So Gustavo,
you.
let me start with I think a very important question for all of us in manufacturing. You have helped create in P&G, IWS, or integrated work systems, which is considered to be one of the best operational excellence tools in the industry for systemic factory improvement. For the last 30 to 40 years, we had, of course, many others as well. And we know from our Smarter Change experience that many of the world's manufacturers are having a massive skill building issue in operational excellence. Not only small ones, a lot of the big ones as well, regardless if we have all these tools for quite some time now. So in Smarter Change, we play with the mantra standardize, simplify, digitize, and then amplify the value. That's why OpEx is an important element for sustainable industry for technology adoption, and more importantly, because technology is a means to an end, value creation. So how do you envision the integration of all these new IT skills that Filippo talked as well into a smart manufacturing operation in order to leverage the technology adoption that we expect to have to really drive value in Industry 4?
It's a very interesting and important question, Vasilis, to be addressed, and I'm glad that you're asking it, because the skill gap that we see today, even though we've been working on closing it in the industry for many years through the operational excellence programs and other things that we've done in general in the industry across the board and globally, we still have an important gap of capability. And, we face it every time we help a new client to onboard, understand where they are and where they can go and how they can leverage capabilities that are strange to them at that moment. And we see the gap out there. The good thing about the situation where we stand today is that there is a lot of learning already in place that we can leverage if we are systemically driven in the industry. As we said, yes, we standardize, we simplify, we digitize, and we amplify. And this process still remains universal in this process. When we created many years ago, we started the journey of integrating work systems for Procter & Gamble. That today is well known externally from Procter & Gamble because it's actually been sold as a capability for acquisition of skills and deliver better and sustainable operations across the world, not only in P&G but externally from P&G. We learned the need to create the integration between, at that time, we have factories divided by the people that do maintenance, that are technically savvy, and they could address issues in the lines, and people that could operate the lines, but we didn't have people that could do both. So we quick enough understood that the best way to drive productivity and growth was to integrate those two sets of skills into the roles that are required to drive productivity and throughput in the operations. So we have this model there, and this model will help us again to integrate digital technologies, solutions, and skills requirements for that into the development of our people, our workforce, and therefore, procure better throughput in the operations and better reliability, et cetera, et cetera. So there is still a gap, but there are tools that we can help us ourselves to really deliver and close that gap. This is in big companies as well as in small companies. It is incredible how this happens. So I always say that there is not a strong operation that doesn't have a strong capability and doesn't have capability that comes from a strong education and training program. If you don't have a strong education and training program, you are running the risk of not not even identifying the gaps you have to deliver better through the people in the floor. That you really need to understand the skill inventory that you need, and you need to understand how to bring people to the level with those skills that you don't have at the moment. And everything is really teachable. There is this false idea that some people will never get to operate on the digital environment, and I totally believe that's wrong. You only need to teach to people what the skill they need for the specific jobs and roles that they're playing. And then when you understand education and training from the skill level standpoint, you can really go into the standardize, simplify, digitize, and amplify route. And before that, you might be in a difficult time to figure that out. Good thing is with the and Filippo mentioned it before, there is so many changes and so many new things that happen that we new capabilities and new tools that come to us, and we need to really understand how those tools can help us. And but that's on one hand, and the other hand is where are we and what do we need to really drive the productivity results that we want to get. And I'm mentioning a lot productivity right now, but it's not about productivity. It's about consistency and quality, responsiveness, agility, resilience to manage what is the unexpected in every supply chain. There is not a good supply chain that doesn't have a good manufacturing linked to it. And there is not a good manufacturing capability that doesn't deliver operational excellence based on a good education and training program. So that connection to help our people to really be at parity of the requirements and needs and drive the results that are required to win in the marketplace and create competitive advantage.
Thank you, Gus. Thank you. This is very clear. And I think that with the work we do with some of the best companies, we already see that there is ongoing work of integrating roles, integrating operational excellence with digital capabilities. While they were considered two worlds apart, we see an ongoing integration.
Yeah.
What worries me is that we see that at the corporate level because we need to have it in order to take advantage of the opportunities. But we don't see this in universities, in diplomas, in trainings. Everybody's following its own way, its own lonely road, if you like, ahead, while the problems are the same. So my question is, and this goes to both of you, and Filippo and Gustavo, how do we equip the new generation of leaders, either they are students or early managers coming out of schools and universities, with this massive palette or skills inventory, if you like, that they need to have from operational excellence to digital technologies in order to really make them thrive in the workplace and drive the transformation we need to see in our industries forward at the systemic level? How do we eventually merge the curriculums?
Fantastic. I don't know if Filippo, you want to start?
Oh, no, go ahead, Gustavo.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, I really think this is another great opportunity that we have. Our educational systems, our university programs, and so forth, they are lacking, the development of skills to address the digital requirements of the industry and in general in life. But this is, again, an area where we can integrate the general drivers to develop the skills that are required for that prosperity and that growth that is in front of us. I think the important thing is actually we cannot teach everybody every technology. That's not going to be a very productive way of teaching and helping people to acquire new skills in these fronts. What we can teach to people is to awaken the curiosity requirements for people to explore and go for and have the right thinking process to analyze technology and acquire their understanding and therefore incorporate those as they need. The second thing we can do is to help them to think critically about technology choices. So the educational system in the superior education, master degrees and PhDs and all these type of programs should be focused to have critical thinking development, curiosity, ability to explore, and to think strategically about adoption of technologies in connection with the business requirements and the business situation they are in. If we can create that tension there, that idea there, then we are winning the game. This is why this initiative with UNITAR is extremely has a extreme value really for everybody, because what I would say we only have a certification that delivers 17 hours of training per person, and this person will create we earn a certificate on that. So it's impossible that in 17 hours we teach them every single technology out there, every single potential tool that is out there. But we are going to teach people to understand technology from the block of technology standpoint, from an agnostic, from the brand names point of view, and be critical on how to create building blocks for strategy development and implementation in their operations for bettering the results of that single operation and across. This is why this is so important. If we really are interested in smart and sustainable operations, it will be nice to get on board, understand the 10 dimensions, understand the sequencing of activities, and think and trigger curiosity in our people so they can really develop and help us to drive this competitive advantage that we are all striving for.
Thank you, Gus. Filippo, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, look, what I can add on my side, also having my oldest kids are actually just now in the first 2-3 years of university, right? So it's been also a topic of choice and family discussions. I think the first thing is to make sure that really people get through the school system also the ability to learn how to learn. Really getting into how do you crack methods? How do you understand how you prioritize what needs to be learned first and how? I think that's a big universal skill that is not uniformly distributed. It depends a lot on the different school systems. I think this is a big foundation that is kind of can be improved today. And I think the other thing we need to make sure happens in this sector is that, look, let's be clear. For a lot of years, it's not been sexy to crack those type of issues in manufacturing and supply, right? A lot of the talent got also diverted into other areas, and I think finally it's happening that people are understanding that to solve the big problems of the world, including sustainability, carbon, and ESGs, you need to tackle the big flows of the industry. And there are no biggest flows than manufacturing and logistics and transportation, where you can identify with technology, with data, with process mining, you identify the waste and what is process waste, what is waste or working waste, translates into enormous amount of benefits, physical, tangible benefits, if you look at greenhouse gas equivalents or energy consumption or some of those other things. So it's about also bringing this back to be a front and center sexy topic for people making choices post-education.
Well, that's an excellent point, Filippo. I totally agree with that. And again, it's a stimuli we can get in our people from the school base, okay? And also for the people that we have on the floor and working already and being effective, if we trigger curiosity on them, we are in the winning side of the equation for sure. And I will put a very stupid basic example. I mean, everybody wants to have a more advanced car. Okay, when you buy a car that has more computers than what you normally are, you are excited about it, and you start to play and learn about that. And in less than 2 weeks, you're an expert in every feature of the car. And why is that doesn't happen in the packing line in a given plant? It's because it's not sexy enough. It's because we are shaking it in a different way. It's because we haven't triggered curiosity and exploration abilities. It's because people don't see a self-realization by doing that. I will say this is a job that we have as leaders to trigger that in our people. and use every tool around us to really deliver that. That's why education and training becomes so critically important, that we really adopt an approach, standard approach that can really systemically bring people along. Now, there is a concept of progression. People will not learn things from one day to the other. So it's a journey. When we did integration of technical, mechanical abilities with operational abilities, it took a journey to get really there and empower people to really go for it. We need to repeat that now with the IT tools. Empower our people to experiment and play and learn and fail, and help them when they fail and help them when they win, because we don't know neither. Okay, we all collectively need to learn. It's a fantastic point. Thank you for mentioning.
And Gustavo, I would add the other thing we need to do as leaders here is also to demystify the complexity. If I look at my experience in the past 8, 9, 10 years in big companies on this, a big change happened when, as leaders, we started to demystify that and basically remove the nebulous type of unclear definitions that were accompanying this space and make it much simpler. People at home use their smartphones to do things that are very, very advanced. How do actually they can transfer their curiosity and demystify the ability to do so on something that is an industrial process is super important as well.
Yeah, our approach today, unfortunately, in operations, let's say you have a company that have 50 plants, and the lack of a standard approach move people to too many solutions, too many learning trends, and too many skills that maybe they are not totally fit for use. So this triggered the importance of having a strategic approach to it. And this is part of the inspiration of why we created Smarter Change, to go about this need for accelerating a common language, accelerating a common understanding, and then drive strategically the adoption of technologies. You can actually even argue that the fourth revolution hasn't been as successful as it should have been. We had at the beginning of this journey of 4.0, there was a hope that throughput was going to improve at 76%, and productivity was going to be higher in between 25 and 30%. And the contribution of manufacturing in GDP was going to go at least 5 more points from the 13 or 14 that we had at the time this started. And all of these things have happened in a shy way, not in at the same level of expectation. And in many cases, it's because we leaders have not prepared enough our workforce to really understand what they need to change. So here we are with this tool, and thank you to this great partnership with Unitar. We can make it available at scale across the globe to many people. And I really wish this contributes to this small token of improvement to prosperity and sustainable and smart operations.
Thank you, Gustavo.
Thank
This was a great, insightful conversation in terms of being able to discuss some of the skills gaps and what capacity building needs to be done in order to innovate Industry 4.0. Before we close today, we wanted to have a quick Q&A section before we offer closing remarks, which my director here is now here, Mr. Alex Mejia, and I'll introduce him first before we do so, and he can also jump in to answer this question that I think is very, very important. So Mr. Alex Mejia is the Director of Division for People and Social Inclusion at Unitar. He has had a career in international civil servant working at the United Nations since 2004. He has been based in Geneva since 2012 as the Director of Division for People and Social Inclusion. Within that division, he leads the Social Development Unit and also is the head of the CIFO Global Network. Prior to these positions in Switzerland, Mr. Mejia has served for 3 years as the director of Unitar's Hiroshima office in Japan, for 4 years also as the director of Unitar's CIFO Training Center back in Atlanta. In his current capacity, he also serves as the CIFO Global Network head, as I mentioned, and is constantly finding innovative ways to have a global outreach towards capacity building skills, and particularly with sustainable development goals. And with that, I'll open up the conversation to him and be able to provide some closing remarks. But there is this one question from one of our panelists, which is regarding both hard and soft skills. And to the extent that yourself, Gustavo, Filippo, and Vasilis as leaders in Industry 4.0, but also yourself, Mr. Mejia, in terms of being able to be able to work with governments on institutional education platforms, how can we then create a learning and teaching toolkit leveraging Industry 4.0 and developing ways to create capacity building skills through education institutions and also with governments throughout those processes? And I think perhaps the CIFO Global Network is one great example of that. So with that, I can leave it to Mr. Mejia. I open the floor to him as a panelist.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. While I speak, Stephen, if you can project, if I have some feedback, but I hope you can hear me well.
We can hear you well.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope you can project the map of the CIFA Global Network, because I want to offer you, dear participant, this vast portfolio of training opportunities through this network that you will see in a minute on the screen, but also simply coming to UNITAR. UNITAR works in partnership. Smarter Change is a trusted and long-term partner of UNITAR and of the United Nations. And through these alliances and cooperation, thank you very much indeed, we offer face-to-face training opportunities in all these dots in the map. And I understand that, speaking to the participants, of course, I understand that many of you come from very many countries. So if you have one of our training centers close to you, please join us. Simply go to unitar.org and you'll find something that hopefully is suitable for you and your needs for training and capacity building. But let me go beyond that. And thank you, Stephen, you can stop. I wanted to say two things on how do we actually do that, and it's just two simple ideas in addition to what all the experts have said. Gustavo, Filippo, Vasilis, they are experts on Industry 4.0, but we, which are not experts, we are not experts on that topic, but we are experts, hopefully, on issues of training and capacity building. And it's always the same two concepts, the same two words. One, ownership. We have to have people, beneficiaries, participants, professionals, stakeholders willing to come and invest time and effort in capacity building in training. And I invite you to do so. For Industry 4.0 to become a reality, for the synergies between Industry 4.0 and the Sustainable Development Goals, which is what we do at the United Nations, there has to be ownership. I ask you to think. I know you are all busy. We are always running around the goals and the activities that we have. But if you dedicate, I assure you, if you dedicate some time to empower yourself, to learn more, to receive training, you see the results. So we need that ownership from you, the beneficiary. But then let me tell you the other thing that I believe that we need, and now I will speak on my capacity as a former government official. We need governments too to actually design the frameworks for Industry 4.0 to become a reality. And in that sense, some of you, I saw the list of participants, are government officials listening today. I encourage you to do something that I used to do in my previous life, professional life, which is to help the decision maker in a government to build the capacity of the professionals, the practitioners, the technicians working on issues like this, in order to create a virtuous framework for the advancement of industry in all its sides, Industry 4.0, innovation, technology, you name it. We need both the ownership of the local practitioner, you listening today, and the willingness of governments to modify existing legal frameworks. Some of them, you will agree with me, are from the 1970s or 80s or 90s if we are optimistic. So particularly in the developing world where I come from Latin America, and proudly so, I can tell you, knowing my region, I cannot talk about other regions, but my region and my country, I believe I know a little. We have to do this job. We haven't done it. It is, unfortunately, only developed nations, richer nations, highly competitive nations that have embraced Industry 4.0 and all these breaking of paradigms that it implies. So here you have a tool, this beautiful platform that Smarter Chains and Unitar have built together, thanks to the graciousness of Mr. Gustavo Gori and Mr. Vasilis Karamallegos. They have been very generous in empowering the United Nations to actually have something specific to offer. And I invite everyone, of course, to take advantage of this platform. But let me stop there. I simply wanted to mention ownership and the need to change the legal frameworks in government. But let me go back to Mr. Gori, and then, of course, if there is any other question, we'll entertain it, and then we close. Back to you, Mr. Gori.
Thank you so much for those words and for really the partnership that we are driving here. I really am convinced from my heart that we can make a difference helping the industry and in general everybody interested in this topic to really make a difference out there, and I really appreciate it. In regards to the question on the soft and hard skills, we got to a historical point where soft skills become as strong as hard skills. And we only be successful if we combine both of them together. That's specifically for leadership positions in the industry, but everybody in the industry is a leader. The people on the floor and the people in the C-level office. Everybody is a leader. So practicing understanding the interactions and how I make my hard skills to put them to play by framing them with a good set of soft skills will be every day more important. It is already very important, and we do have a gap there as well internationally across the globe in every industry. To whoever had that question, yes, they are important. Yes, they are part of what we need to learn. And the most important thing, again, as I said before, is to trigger curiosity from people to understand where they are, where they stand, and then try to make a difference through a good program that support them on education and training. There is a lot of work globally in the area of incorporating emotional intelligence skills in many of the educational programs, MBAs and so forth, that I know is happening. And that's another area that I would say will complement all this work significantly. The fifth revolution of the industry, which is being talk, is really a little bit of a call to incorporate soft skills in a way that help us to enable and leverage further the hard skills that are being developed and adopt in a proactive and positive way all the benefits of the digital era. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Gori.
Thanks to you. Back to Stephen. Yes, go ahead, Stephen.
Thank you, Mr. Mejia. I'd like to thank all the panelists that were here today between Mr. Mejia, Mr. Gori, Mr. Kamaloglis, and Mr. Catalonia for your insightful remarks and being able to provide some comprehensive solutions to meeting the gaps, the skills gaps, and also to create opportunities for capacity building in Industry 4.0. Also, I would like to thank all the participants that had the opportunity to be here and embark on this transformative journey towards Industry 4.0 with us. Together, the future of Industry 4.0 is just not a revolution, but it's a pathway to creating a more sustainable and better world. So with that, I would like to again thank all of you for being here, and we will close the session for today. For future webinars, please keep subscribed to the Unitar page and also Smarter Chains page for more information as we move forward. I also invite you to check out the platform that we've provided here in the chat and that Vasilis provided a very good comprehensive background on what insights the platform provides. So thank you again, participants, panelists. I wish you all a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.